And we're back.
Hey,
What
is this
episode
like,
is this?
I don't know, 4 or 5?
I think it's
I think
episode 4.
everything's
And
a blur.
yeah, dude, especially right
Yeah,
now. I guess we should start by saying we are actually in the same city, in the same place. We're in different rooms because
different
we don't
rooms. Yeah,
yeah, we don't have a proper setup for doing a good shot with the two of us and Mike. So I'm in the front of the studio, you're in the back of my studio. But
yeah.
yeah, dude, you're here in Portland
I
for a
think
few days.
technically it should work. I mean, Jesse and Mikey do it all the time.
Yeah.
But to be safe, I'm
Yeah,
right behind
exactly.
Johnny,
But
somewhere in here.
dude, yeah, I guess we should start there. Let's talk about you being in Portland, how this came about and what we've been doing.
It's, uh, it's been an experience, I could tell you that. Let's just say a few days ago, let's say 7 days ago, I did not imagine me being here. Right? I wasn't planning for
Yeah.
me to be here. I'm just coming off of vacation. Um, Mikey and Jesse insisted for me to make the trip over here. They're working on a documentary series that's highlighting all the companies that are involved in the THINK Incubator, and we're one of those companies, Augmented Imagination. And they wanted to do in-person interviews and really talk about, what the company is and what products we're planning to bring to the table. So they needed me. Seattle's not too far from Portland. For those who are not familiar with that, it's about a 3-hour train ride.
Yep.
I'm not in Portland. I'm in the east East Coast and South Carolina to be specific. And it took me about almost 7 or 8 hours to get here. So that was fun.
Long flight.
Well, yeah, long flight. So as far as time zones, we're a 3-hour difference, and my body's still trying to like, oh my God, I couldn't sleep at all past 2 days. And because of the time change, but more because of the excitement of everything that has happened in these past 2 days, right? I think I call it a win. This whole trip has been exciting, but what we were able to achieve in the past 2 days, it was just like mind blowing, mind
Dude.
blowing. We
Yeah.
in less than 2 days, we were part of a documentary, we're part of the podcast, and
The Think podcast. Yeah, we
the
recorded an
thing
episode of
podcast.
that yesterday. Yep.
Got to know a bit of Portland while we had some free time here and there,
Trying to
and
fit it in.
yeah, we tried to squeeze it in, and made the best out of it. And man, it's can't wait to share more.
Yeah. Yeah, so like Sway mentioned, we were both on vacation last week in the midst of vacation. Got hit up by Jesse Bryan. He's like, yo, we want to shoot a doc for the Thinkubator. We're creating these mini docs on all the companies participating. Season one, we're one of three companies. Like I was in Disneyland and then New Mexico. So I was not here when all of this was happening. And they basically said, like, let's all meet up in Portland Tuesday. I don't, yeah, it's a blur. It's Thursday now.
Yeah,
I wasn't planning on being home till Wednesday, kind of changed things up, got home sooner than anticipated. Mike, Jesse, and Alan came down. Like Sway said, we shot a bunch of content, but ended up doing, and you'll see more of this when like the doc comes out, and also we'll talk about it in the Think Pod podcast, which we're featured on. I guess you will have already seen it because they're sort of
yeah,
ahead of us in the release
of
schedule.
course. Yeah, we'll
Um,
be out.
but the plan was just to shoot a bunch of content, but it ended up being more of a sort of strategy session than we originally
Mhm.
intended, and really kind of reworked our approach, focused in on our approach, got more clarity, which turned into sort of tweaking messaging, uh, not not totally sort of changing what we were doing, but changing the order in which we were doing and changing what we're focusing on as the core product. in a way that again like gives us way more clarity, gives us a much more streamlined path, and opens up possibilities and opportunities that were not there initially that have come together really quickly. So really exciting stuff. Sway and I, again, I'm trying to like show him little bits of Portland as we go, fit in these little
Mhm.
just good meals while he's here, because for the most part we've just been hanging out in my at my studio in Chinatown, which, the studio
Which
itself is really cool, but I
we haven't
keep
done a
telling
tour of your studio.
we've got to do that at some point. Yeah, I'll break out like
Yeah.
the GoPro and do a tour, because
Yeah.
it is a cool little
Or maybe what
space.
we could do is we could do a studio tour if we have the time. I'm in here,
Yeah.
we just throw in that little segment for the next episode.
Oh, dude, I dig that. Yeah, we can absolutely do that. So we'll
Yeah.
grab some content really quick, do a studio. So you'll see the creators clubhouse, as I call it, which is a shared space. Primarily me, but my buddy Yvonne as well. And then we host a bunch of sort of Portland creative community meetups here. There's like a fashion group called Kinship that meets here. Yvonne's sort of a co-founder of the Fireside Creative Technology Group. So we've got like a nice setup and a nice like gathering space. And it's just like creativity is in the bones of the building. It's called the Povey Glass Building. It was a stained glass manufacturers from like early 1900s. And now it's mostly like creative studios, photography studios, design consultancies. The space next to me is a company called Hylos that 3D prints shoes out of like post-consumer material. So they're really rad. But yeah, good creative energy, cool stuff going on. But as I've been telling you, Sway, I'm like stoked to show you the studio, and for you to experience Portland a little bit. But it's in Chinatown, which is a little bit of a gnarly neighborhood, quite dystopian.
Yeah.
So
Very
I've been trying to like
ghost town.
get you out a little bit and show you some other areas, because I don't want you to think all of
That was
Portland
my
is
first
like
impression. I was like, this
Walking
is
Dead.
Portland. Like,
Yeah.
and I see a
It's a
piece of garbage
portion.
fly. I was like,
Yeah,
all right.
exactly. It's a portion of Portland for sure.
Yeah.
Cheap rent.
But the food
It's
is
where,
great. I can tell you
dude.
that.
Yeah. So
Food is amazing.
we went to brunch this morning at a place called Screen Door that's pretty famous, and has been on the Food Network countless times. And we if we seem a little lethargic right now, it's because I had chicken and
Yeah.
waffles and Sway had chicken fried steak.
This podcast is not sponsored by Screen Door,
Screen
but
Door. I mean,
I
wish
do
they
want to
would.
say you guys have a mean chicken fried steak, man.
Yeah, we do it up.
And
We do the food up right here.
yeah, yeah, that was great. And also, before we move forward, I also want to mention that ironically, both Johnny and I we were on vacation. I was doing more of a staycation, catching up with everything that needed to be attended to at home. And ironically, our birthdays landed on the same week,
Yep.
right? So
Yep. I'm the June 10th, you're June
yeah, yeah,
15th.
we definitely didn't plan that one out,
Yeah.
but but
Yeah, dude,
that's a fun fact.
another thing, we got to celebrate our birthdays this evening. Um,
Mm, that we
so
do.
yeah, dude, lots going on. So I mean, should we just talk about sort of the pivot and the refocusing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
happened?
This
So
will be like a great commentary to
yeah,
what people are going to see probably like weeks later.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, and I know we haven't completely rolled out everything here on the podcast. We've been kind of sharing more in the Builders Club, but essentially, right, augmented imagination, we've been building tools for creatives, tools to unlock creatives, to unlock the artist inside of everyone. That's sort of like our core belief. And basically, we had this idea, this sort of game plan of we're going to bring in these open source generative tools into the Think ecosystem that sort of port into the Souls platform, that we're actively, the Think team is actively developing. So we were really focusing initially on like, okay, let's find a really good open source text to image, image to video, And then I think like image to 3D was like the three we were initially talking about. And the goal was to find these open source tools, initially just port them into the Think ecosystem, into Souls. And then sort of phase two would be to build a new user experience on top of those, really based on this idea of like creative exploration and visualizing the tools and the controls for these open source tools because they have incredible capabilities. But I don't think anybody's absolutely nailed the user experience yet. And a lot of that is like, it's either way too intense and it's kind of node overload, or it's just this sort of what we call the slot machine chat box, where you don't have any
Hmm.
controls, you don't have a lot of parameters. You're just sort of inputting some sort of prompt, seeing what you get out of it, and then trying to refine from there. So our idea was to basically take what we know, basically lean on our experience of building like world-class sort of interfaces and user experiences, building that on top of these open source tools and really putting the control back in the hands of creatives, which again, all of this would exist within Souls, within the Think ecosystem, so you could run it locally. You have all of your own data, all of that, right? Everything that's sort of like the selling points and the differentiating factors of the Think ecosystem and Souls would apply to these tools. And again, you could like run it locally, which is really, really rad. So that was phase two. Phase three was this idea of like, okay, that's just kind of the setup. When things get really interesting is what we were calling these artist agents, where
Hmm.
essentially you're running all of this locally. You're able to set up your own sort of technology stack the way you want. Then it's like, you could build your own sort of agent, creative agent out of that. And then like
Yeah.
that's like a digital creative you, right? Which opens up all
Yeah,
sorts of
totally.
cool possibilities. So what happened this week was Mike and Jesse were riding the train down. We've been working with Mike sort of week in and week out. We meet with him every Tuesday, basically talk about what we're doing. He provides direction. He kind of sets some goals for us. And then Jesse's been doing like the more high level stuff, the belief stuff. But as they were riding the train down, Jesse was like, I think what Jonny and Sway are building with augmented imagination, like it needs to be more focused. It feels a little
Yeah, it wasn't
too
clear enough.
open ended and a little too vague right now. And I think we need to simplify that, strip a lot of this sort of external stuff away. And the way we're doing that is essentially like flipping the order of what we're doing and focusing in on this, not an agent, but a custom tuned model, which we're
Hmm.
calling supermodels,
Supermodels.
that is based on all of your all of your personal IP, all of your personal weighting and tuning for a model. And the reason for doing this with a model versus an agent, like, is based on some discussions we had with like Mike and Lenny, the more technical people,
Hmm.
and it makes more sense to actually tune this model that way, and then you can connect that to your Souls agent, and then that makes it kind of actionable in a new way. But it's really more about like this custom model. So again, like not a total pivot, but kind of reversing the order of operations where we thought this thing
Totally.
that was going to be phase three, it's like, no, that's what we need to focus on. That's what we need to put our attention into because there are so many open source tools out there, but this like
Tons.
super model, this custom tuned model trained up on your personal IP, uh, that is a really unique offering. And that's our entry point.
Yeah. We're so everything that that everything that we try to the roadmap that we set for ourselves, uh we had to set down on the side. It's too vague, it's not clear. Um and we had to swing big, right, with this. And Jesse had to pitch us the idea. I instantly fell in love with it. And you'll see in the documentary, he immediately just pitched me an idea as soon as I landed from, as soon as I
Yeah, we
landed.
we literally picked up Sway at like 9:30 from the airport after he's been in flying for like 8 hours. Jesse and
Yeah.
Ellen are like, we're gonna ride with you to pick up Sway. We're gonna have the cameras rolling. So Sway,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
talk
So
about being
just
put on the spot.
dude,
So
yeah, so
yeah,
like change of time zone, never been there, don't know where I'm going. I was waiting for you guys in the wrong place. So like finally found you. I thought I spotted your car. I end up heading towards another one. So yeah, and then immediately, like less than 2 minutes, Jesse is pitching me. Like they mic me up and like I'm
yeah.
being pitched.
Hi, how are
So
you? Put this microphone on.
right, exactly. Yeah, cool. Long time no see. All right, let's get to work. Um, and that was fun, and that's what I love. I want to comment on the how fortunate we are to work with with both Mikey, Jesse, and Felix, and this is all part of like how being part of an incubator looks like, right? It's
Yep.
just getting that support, that advisement, and this is and it feels wonderful because you feel like you're not alone, and they're what I like about our relationship with them is that they're not, bullshitting us. They know our strengths, they know what we could do, they know the potential, and they're definitely betting on us because they've seen our track record of work, how we collaborate together, how much we contributed to our recent projects with them, and but they also see where we lack, right? Like we're not engineers, we're not builders. I mean, we are a company, we are a technology company, but we still need to partner up with people that will help us in the areas that we're not good at.
Yep.
And those are the things in this strategy session, those are the things that we need to really kind of like red flag. Okay, this is what we can't do, and this is what we need, and this is the person that we need to partner up with, and these are the things that we're calling out and negotiating with. And that was can't wait for you guys to see that and witness that in the documentary because talk about building in public and just I would say, I mean, for those who are interested, just go deep and just look at us. I was like, this is brand new territory. We're excited. We're thrilled. We have an idea, a roadmap of where we want to go, but this is so new to us, and we're really just jumping into the void. And mm, I'm excited. I'm very excited about it. So it this I'm very happy that we've been able to get more clarity on what we want to put out there to the world with the supermodel product.
Yep.
So with the supermodel product, again, I'm gonna just reiterate, it's just think of it as a personalized, private model that you can customize and keep for you, and that you can eventually, if you want, and I always express that if you want, because this is completely up to the artist. But if you want, you could either keep it to yourself, keep growing your portfolio of work, or monetize from it. You can license this model if you want to. You can
Yep.
eventually take this model and remix it with other works and other variations of your works, other styles of your works, or mix that model with other creators' models. Um, so you'll that's where we come in with with the front end experience, and giving also, whether it's the customers, we're going to call it customers, the that flexibility, right? That autonomy. And what I love about this session is that we approached it as, because we're like not only artists but also story driven company. We had to take a story approach to the strategy and be like, what's our beginning and what's our end, right? And who's the bad guy? What's the problem and what we're trying to solve, right? So the bad guy, unfortunately for Adobe, was Adobe. Like what everyone complains about Adobe, whether it's like stealing your data, they're upping the rent, every year. Right now it's going to be like $80 a month. You add the math, it's like $600, and times are tough for artists, right? It's like
Yeah, for
tough for
sure.
everyone, and we want to we know we can't go. I said in a documentary, we can't go toe to toe with Adobe, but we could definitely step on some of those toes. So one bite at a time. And I think this is from the supermodel is going to be our like our flagship product that will hopefully open up to many other products that you either we can build on top of, or that idea will inspire something else. So completely open to the idea. And when you're in part of this you know basically startup tech journey, you have to be the open to the idea of pivoting, right?
Yep.
Because of the state of the market and how the technology evolves. And it's not that we're presenting something new. And I know most of you who are more like AI savvy, like, yeah, that sounds like a Laura, or yeah, that sounds more like what I could do in Midjourney with mood boarding. It's like, sure, yeah, that's what we're trying to do, but we're trying to take it to the next level. We're trying to make it your own. We're trying to make it local. We want to make it fast. We want to make it secure, and we want you to be able to pass it on. That's something that Jesse was like really expressing. Like, this is part of your legacy. This is that you can hand off to your kids if you want to. So the model itself is almost like the archive is an archival. And as soon as we pair that model with an agent, forget about it. It's like
Yeah.
I like to see the supermodel as an opportunity as for you to see yourself, right? A part of your brain, or if not your entire being. So it's self the experience should be self-reflective, and that's where we're at. That's like where our the space that we're kind of like dancing and playing with, and with this tool.
Yep. And again, yeah, just to kind of like reiterate what you said there, it isn't yeah, this isn't like reinventing the wheel. And a lot of people may recognize like, oh yeah, there are features like that out there, specifically like Midjourney mood boards, right? That's essentially we're doing a version of that that will be more fine-tuned, I think, and will allow you to uh, upload more training data and have sort of a cleaner starting point, which will give you more consistent results. But the big difference here, and the big difference, everything we're building in the Think ecosystem is you own it. Like Midjourney, you don't get to own it. That's going to go to the explore page. Anybody else can reference your style reference code.
Mhm.
And we talked about, again, sort of figuring out the story, building the
Can
story
you
in
double
this.
click on your work going to the explore page? Because I don't think people realize that. Like, I just recently asked somebody, like, the Midjourney video feature is out, so they have a second option in their explore page, whether you want to see images or videos, and you see amazing work there. But that work that wasn't produced by Midjourney, that's produced by the users, and the
Mhm.
algorithm is picking out, you know, all these creations that are there.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not, they're picking your work.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you don't own any of that. Midjourney owns all of that, right? And they're just sort of giving it away to everybody else. So when you think about, again, we're trying to think through like the story and who is our initial customer we focus on, what is the initial use case, and where do we go from there? And the thing we landed on that we really want to begin with and focus on initially is illustrators. And illustrators are the perfect sort of initial use case of this. And I really like it because it's probably a community that has like been the most kind of like leery of AI and scared of it for good reason, because basically your personal style is your livelihood. If you're an illustrator,
Mhm.
that's what's gotten you hired in the past. That's what you're known for. You probably built your portfolio around having a certain style, and when that's
Yeah.
available to anyone and everyone, you have no value anymore. Like that's really rough. Well, again, within Think ecosystem, everything we do is about ownership. It's AI you own. So if we can flip that on its head, and the illustrator that was, scared of AI, leery of AI, didn't want to use AI for those reasons, if we now say, take your personal portfolio, take your personal catalog, use that as training data on top of this base model, Laura, right? Fine tune it to what you want. Now you have basically, we were talking about the experience we want people to have. It's like collaborating with yourself. It should feel
Hmm.
like you're collaborating with yourself, and it scales your creativity in a way that was not possible before. And again, just the simple tweak of owning it versus renting it changes everything for everyone. So if you can own that, you custody your data, you decide what you want to do with it. And then again, everything we're building, we're just building these modular composable pieces right now. Everybody in the Thinkubator, everybody building in sort of the Think ecosystem, right? The foundations are it's got to be decentralized, open source, and composable. So all of these things are going to click together. So what we're focusing on with supermodels will be this piece that you'll now be able to plug into your personal agent via Souls, and now you've really got an extension of yourself, right? You've got basically an autonomous, owned by you agent that basically has access to your personal style, your personal preferences, your specific illustration style, photography style, video style, whatever it is. Jesse was talking about making one for himself, like taking every ad he's ever done and sort of incorporating that.
That's nuts.
It's insane. So it will allow you to sort of build your own little creative agency of just like versions of you and your skill sets, your taste, all of that. And right, the ways of sort of like leveraging that and monetizing that, like I'm sure we don't even realize all the possibilities just yet, but like licensing that out, hiring it to somebody else, being able to just take on right client work and turn it around in no time at all. Like the possibilities are endless. Having your
Yeah.
agent collaborate with other agents, like Johnny GPT and Sway I working together. Like, what does that look like? What do they make?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so there's some cool possibilities. And just to go back to, yeah, the kind of like pivot here and focus in on supermodels. We said from the onset, like, uh, right, we're building in public and we're just being as transparent as possible. So Sway and I were having a conversation this morning. It's like, oh shit, man, do we like restart the podcast and talk about like, kind of reorient around like this new thing we're doing? We're like, no, this is how it's done. This is
Yeah.
especially in this industry that moves at the speed of thought. Like you have to stay nimble and you just got to kind of roll with the punches and change your approach. So we
Yeah.
just wanted everybody to see us transparently kind of like doing this. And that's where we're at. So, it takes sort of a minute to process, especially when like it's pitched to you and there are cameras rolling.
Oh my God.
But yeah, dude, once we
No
kind of
pressure,
sat
huh?
with it, we are like, oh, this makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, you have to, again, uh, for those who are listening in, we're doing everything open because I think it pairs with like the ethos of like building in the open, going open source. It's like we're figuring this out. There's a lot of listeners right now who are new to building, new to art, um, and hopefully all of this material will inspire you to, hey, launch that podcast. Hey, start using these tools. Hey, like whatever you're coming up with, you know, start training your agent, start training your own custom model and see where that takes you. One My hope is that with the supermodel, it encourages to explore more, to identify yourself more, discover yourself more. And um and we're definitely like we as a business, we have to we're eventually going to have to make a choice, right? Like, and we want to bring something to the world, but obviously, to be profitable, this needs to serve a specific customer base. And the first customers that we're trying to target are going to be customers with like a huge back catalog of work, you know, and great quality work that could be thrown into a supermodel and could give us given enough data to figure out how this could benefit them. Um, and then the next step will be eventually, hopefully, V2 is like kind of taking that supermodel and pairing it with the agent, like we said before, right? Just think like we're creating, literally going to start creating the Jarvis, for content creation. I was immediately reminded by I was thinking about the T2 movie, that where John Connor is like removing, or is it Sarah Connor is removing the chip from the T800 when they're in the garage. That's what
Yeah.
we're kind of doing. I was like, the T800 is the agent, but that chip right there, that's the supermodel, right? And we want to be in a place where hopefully you have a bunch of different supermodels that you can, tour around and play with. And the cool thing, and I'm seeing a lot of tools right now. They're more or less wetting their feet with this, and you could see it now. Like Midjourney has a conversational AI option. Now you can just create kind of like how you can create inside ChatGPT just by chatting with the agent. Runway is doing it now. They just really released it, I think, less than a week ago. So you have that chat interface, and because I think companies now are understanding, right? Like, the whole creation is an experience. So we're planning to double down on that.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, that means we've got to like work on some new pitch decks, build some new
Oh yeah,
materials, but
that's our job today.
yeah, that's all kind of part of it. And again, one of the other reasons for this pivot is it opens up opportunities for some new technology partners, which we won't talk about just yet because we're not sure, exactly where that will land or when that will go live. But it sounds like we're well on our way to securing some really, really solid kind of technical partners. Because, like you mentioned at the top, Sway, like our sort of superpowers are building brands, creating content, having the vision, understanding these tools, experimenting with these tools, figuring out these workflows. Like, right, we're not the technical builders, developers that are creating all that. We have relationships, but without revealing too much, when all of this started to come about, and one of our motivations towards really leaning into it is Jesse realizing that like some of our partners at Think like essentially already have a significant portion of the technology stack we would need already built,
Hmm.
and we just have to repurpose the use case and tweak some things. So it's all about sort of zooming out, standing back, looking at the pieces you have to work with, and then sort of figuring out the best way forward from there. So this is a perfect kind of example of that. And, it's actually like this pivot you think would set us back, but it will actually fast forward us several chapters
Oh
because of
yeah.
these relationships, because of these connections, and again, because of this like technological IP that wasn't necessarily being leveraged for this, but based on a few initial conversations we had, again, like our partners being like, oh yeah, we have like 80% of that built. We just have to we just have to tweak the approach and design a new
Yeah.
experience around it. So it's possibilities are always out there and you don't know where they're going to come from. So you have to be open-minded enough to again
And flexible.
flexible, step back, consider different possibilities, consider different ways forward. And one of the things we've been talking about around this, and I don't know if this will sort of become our new belief statement or if it's just something we really honed in when we were talking about this, is the idea of you have to own your tools before your tools own you. And
Hmm.
that has never been more relevant. You talked about, right, sort of like identifying a villain. It's all part of storytelling, all part of branding.
Yeah.
You need contrast, you need these sort of clone characters. And like you said, the villain for us, the villain for creatives, unfortunately, is Adobe. And that's becoming ever more apparent, right? Not only have they sort of taken the prospect of you ever actually owning the tools away from you. Now they're making you rent them. They've been constantly increasing the rent on that, squeezing more and more out of you. But as I was saying over the last 2 days, like the stakes just got raised significantly because a couple months ago, if you're a creative or in the loop at all, you know that basically Adobe changed their sort of usage agreement, their users agreement, and said anything
No
you
way.
create, yeah, anything you create in our software, anything you create in our applications, we will be training our own AI models on. So everything you
First.
do is actively training their models. And, you know, basically we've been saying for over a year now, sort of within the Think team, if you are using a SaaS product, if you are using software as a service, you are training your replacement. They are having AI models watch you and learn from you, and you will soon be replaced. And as a
Yep.
creative, right, that is extra insulting. And the fact that like Adobe is now charging you more than ever before to access those tools, they're they're actually watching everything you do. They're stealing your IP and they are training your replacement as we speak. So again, a lot of people might say like, "Oh, this shit already exists. You guys are doing like Midjourney mood boards," but like, no, it doesn't because you don't own it. And right, that may not be, everybody might not realize how sort of pertinent this is right now, but they will soon. Like, I
Yeah.
promise you, you will soon. So, just again, like that key differentiating factor of AI you can own, like that's the only selling point we need. Like, we can create all of the shit that's already out there, but if it's a version you own, you custody the data, and you have ownership over it, like that's worth building. So that's what we're going to build.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Totally. I, I want you to tell the story of that friend that decided not to just completely opt out from like uploading any content on social media anymore. There's that fear, right?
Yep.
Of artists of having their media trained by social media, by these tools like Adobe. You're working on something on Illustrator, Adobe's probably like big brother just right there, using the program, studying everything, studying your workflow, studying, your all the initial stage leading to the final stage of your process, and just you're literally training, their what Firefly model, whatever AI model they're using.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's built into everything now, right?
yeah.
So it's like Photoshop, it's training, Illustrator, it's training. So yeah, it's scary. But yeah, what you mentioned there, Sway, is I won't name her name because I don't have permission from her, but I'll just kind of talk through the story and the use case. And this is one of several people I know feel the same way. Again, like my sort of friends, my sort of community are professional illustrators, professional photographers, right? We were everybody was sort of doing this stuff and building this stuff over the last couple decades. So this is all pre-AI. And I have a friend who's a really talented illustrator, specifically editorial illustration. She has stuff in the New York Times all the time. Right. She was early on in her career, she won the Art Directors Club 30 under 30, which is like one of the most sort of prestigious kind of accomplishments for a creative. Like, I always wanted that, but I never got it. Um, so yeah, like really highly regarded, very, very talented, super desirable work. I'm looking at a print of hers up in my studio right now. But I was just like checking out some of her Instagram content as of recently, and she's just sort of this like anti-AI campaigner, right?
Hmm.
And she's just like adamantly opposed to it, has been trying to move away from any sort of creative tool that has any sort of AI integration. And again, she is not an outlier. This is super common in the kind of creative community. And I totally get it from her perspective because her entire career is built around, she has this very specific brush ink style. And she might do some stuff digitally, but she renders out a lot of this stuff by hand, then scans it in and colors it. So, like, a real crafts person, right? Like really knows her craft, really has developed her craft. And yeah, she's just become like this anti AI crusader. And again, from her perspective, I totally understand it because like her style is her livelihood. That's what she's built her
Yeah.
entire career around. She's gotten hired by art directors because of that. And now the possibility that like basically her portfolio site could be scraped, all of that data could be loaded. You know, she stopped kind of promoting herself on Instagram because again, like Instagram has changed all their sort of user agreements. So like that's another liability. Um, but as we were talking about this idea of like building these supermodels yesterday, I was like, I've got the perfect person, the perfect
Yeah.
sort of use case. I want to approach her. I want to basically propose to her, like, what if, right, we could sort of redeem this demon for you where we could give you a custom model. You could train it up on your portfolio that doesn't have to go up in the cloud. Nobody else has access to it, but it would allow you to collaborate with yourself. And it would allow you to scale your creative capabilities in a way that you couldn't before. And like, if she wants to like not do that and still like illustrate by hand, that's totally fine. But I want to say to her, like, what if you could apply your style towards a music video, right? What if you
Yeah.
could create enough frames to build a music video and then add motion to it? So, like, expanding on your capabilities, expanding on your style, taking that into new worlds. What does this look like if we turn it into 3D, right? Why don't you do an illustrated book? Because that's something you could do in a week now. So,
Of course.
I'm really interested to chat with her and again go after these people that, and I totally understand where they're coming from, are just super opposed to AI and super opposed to the current models because they are right. They are hostile towards creatives, and they're predatory in a lot of ways. But again, going from renting to owning changes everything. So like, I figure if we can get her on board, if we can get those type of people on board, then everybody else is, it's going to be an easy sell.
Yeah. Yeah. That that changing or modifying the belief statement really added to the clarity, right? Because we're really excited when we came up with our first version of, there's an artist locked up inside of you, and we therefore we create tools. Because of that, we create tools that unlock you, the artist in you. Um, but we knew that something was off. We're almost there, It was good enough, but we needed to dig deeper. And thanks to Jesse and him pushing and really just going back to the very first thing that we first mentioned, right, in the belief session, which is like the mark, the highest mark of a craftsman is him having the ability to create his own tools.
Yep.
And like, I think we can make this simpler. He pointed that out. We can make this simpler. We can make it punchier. We can make it more memorable. It's like, own your tools and let the tools own you.
Yep. Yep.
And that was just the defining moment, which led to the supermodels, and also our North Star for even like this pitch deck, right? Like, even Mikey was kind of like pressing on, and you guys will see in the documentary, um, he was kind of pressing on. It's like, based off on this belief statement, this North Star that you have, how far do you want X company to be involved? What's a red flag? What's a line that you won't cross, right? Because of that value, because of that principle that you have. And this I stress for people that are starting companies to work on your belief statement, because that's how important it is to have one, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. It's that's like setting the foundation, right? Like everything sort of starts with that. That's your cornerstone and then you build everything around it. But like as we've been showcasing, like just because you get a week in and you're like, okay, I think this is it, doesn't mean that like that you can't adjust or tweak that, you know.
Of
And again,
course.
everything's happening very quickly, so we're still only a few weeks in. Like obviously you want to get that sorted. You don't want to be like 2 years down and then be like, "Oh, it's actually this." Um, but you know, it's still in line with what we had imagined, but to Jesse's point, it's more focused, it's more direct, and it's just kind of more relevant now. And once again, sort of ties in with what the Think ecosystem is all about and what we're trying to build is like AI you can own. You know, and I was just thinking about how the difference between like the Web 2 mentality and the Web 3 mentality. And I think that's really key to all of this and key to what we're building. Like all of these AI tools are sort of growing and evolving in the Web 2 framework, which again was sort of like predatory, slurping up your
Hmm.
data, creating psychographic profiles on you to manipulate and own you. Whereas Web3 is all about like decentralized, having full autonomy, being able to custody all of your own data. And it's just like dawning more and more on me based on these conversations we've been having, where it's like, if we don't own this stuff now and we don't build this in a sort of ecosystem and a framework that allows us to own it, we're fucked. Like, we're
Totally.
so fucked.
Yeah.
So, like, we just have to do this.
Yeah. And I'm glad that we are.
Yep.
Glad that we are. And we have work to do today.
Yeah.
And this is not our first pitch deck, is it?
No,
So
no.
we've done one before. Haven't heard from,
Yeah.
haven't heard from that company just yet.
Yeah. And that's,
Uh,
you got to get used to that
that's
rejection and you got to
yeah,
just like iterate like crazy, you know? It's all part
yeah.
of it.
So that's fun. We got our That's fun to experience, because this is all part of the growth process.
Yep.
So
Yep. Well, yeah, dude, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Um, Thanks for coming to Portland. Been
yeah,
rad
it's
hanging
fun
out.
being here. I feel like I can come back,
We've got one more
stay
day,
longer.
so we're gonna make the most of it, get some work done, you know, teach some workshops, hang out with the free thinkers, and yeah, dude, go from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If we haven't announced it already, um, stay tuned for the podcast when it drops.
Yep.
But well, it's already dropped. This is episode 4. But we'll be doing spaces. We'll try to do spaces every Friday. We'll be involved with Think, doing other workshops as well. And there's a bunch of other things that we're trying to plan for, and hopefully shooting for some time between, October, September, to have something out that people can, beta test eventually. So
Yep.
very excited about that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks, Sway, and
Hey, thanks, Johnny.
see you guys around.
Peace.
Peace.